You absolutely hit the wrong song, Risotto. Please. I would say...
get off of Green Day.
I would say, yeah, well, I don't mind Green Day, but this is a bad song. Real bad song. Right up there with Doobie Brothers' Old Black Water. Yeah. On my Mount Rushmore of lousy songs. What else is on there is that song, the Rains in Africa.
Oh, Toto?
That's gone. That's in the top 3 of the worst songs of all time. And then...
You should come back with that. That's on the other beds page. Come back with that next break.
And then I'll think of the 4th by the end of the show. Hey,
you were going to tell a story during the break.
Yeah, so you were down at Indian Wells.
I was.
Indian Wells.
Yeah, this weekend.
That's down in Palm Springs. And they've got an immaculate tennis center there. 16,000-seat arena and 8,000-seat arena.
Yeah, to kind of translate it for you, Indian Wells would be like they consider the Ryder Cup the unofficial 5th major, right?
No, the players.
Oh, they're the players, yeah. So this would be that for tennis. It's like the unofficial 5th major.
Gotcha.
And it's huge. The complex is freaking massive. Like 500,000 people go every year.
So I don't know if I have all the details right on this, but when Larry Ellison was getting ready to buy Indian Wells, there was a place in the complex, I guess, where there was, a large swath of grass, and there's this like little incline. And as he was driving in, he saw the crew they were all cutting grass with red mowers, Toro, right? Toros are red. You've heard of the brand Toro, right?
Yeah. I also know Abraham Toro.
Yeah. And it's, they're all their mowing machines and stuff were red. And apparently Larry Ellison saw the red mowers and just hated them. And he bought the place and he's like, but we're getting rid of the red mowers. I want them another color, yellow, anything but red. And they said, well, Larry, they're Toros, they're red. That's the brand. And he's like, no, I don't like red. So his number one guy, it ends up with the number one guy going all the way back to the Toro factory, wherever that is, and trying to convince Toro to make a couple hundred yellow mowers just for Larry Ellison. And I guess he said, I don't want to ever see a red lawnmower around here again. And the guy had to jump through 48 hoops to finally make it happen. And the next time Larry Ellison showed up, all the mowers were yellow.
Now that is FU money. Yeah. When you can change an entire brand's, the color, that's all they have is red.
Exactly.
And you just say, no, I don't want to see it. I don't like the color.
The part of the story is nobody knows whether Toro made some special or whether he had all of them hand-painted separately yellow. But
they got it done, though. Yeah. I can tell you what, Sonny, this weekend I didn't see any red mowers.
I'm sure you didn't. Oh, please. So that song's called Good Riddance?
That's right.
Okay. Come on. I like Green Day, but it's just...
Well, just because it's not one of their best songs doesn't make it a bad song.
It's also the one, it's overplayed. It reminds me of Seinfeld and Friends, and, that's also not a great song. But, no, Larry Ellison also has his own Hawaiian island. I believe he owns Lanai.
He's got a lot of things.
Let me tell you what he doesn't own, the Golden State Warriors.
That's a fact.
He does not own the Warriors. All right, let's get into the 49ers. First of all, Mike Evans.
Yep.
Good, bad, indifferent. How you feeling about Mike Evans?
Well, I thought it was an interesting signing. I mean, it's obviously a good one, but the question I was thinking, listening to you guys yesterday as you broke the news, was did the 49ers sign a great resume or a great player? That's kind of my biggest question off of it, because I think it means a couple of different things. Number one, they're not going backwards, which is why I also think they're going to re-sign Trent or come to some sort of agreement with a new contract. Mike Evans is a player that is a future Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot, but I understand why people would look at him and say so. He's a Super Bowl champion. He is a multi-time All-Pro performer. He is also past the age of 30, and he's played 13 seasons. If you're expecting Mike Evans to step in and be your number one receiver, I would hold my breath.
Really?
But if you're expecting him to be your number two, I think at this stage in his career, he's going to be a really good player for you. But my issue is that I think the Niners, they signed him to be their number one.
Right.
Like he has to, just because you haven't got enough from Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings ain't coming back. Bourne already signed with Arizona. They signed him to be their best receiver. And while that's an upgrade over what they had last year, I still am not sure I would. That's a lot to ask of a guy who's going to be 33 years old.
Well, the way I look at it is, I'm looking at the 49ers receiving yardage last year. Of course, McCaffrey led them with 1,000. And then I think Juwan Jennings was next with 600 or 700. So I said this yesterday, and Willard kind of disagreed with me. I said, well,
Shocker.
If Mike Evans isn't the 49ers leading receiver by yardage next year, something didn't work out right? I mean, that means he either
means Ricky Pearsall had finally a healthy season.
But I feel like if Mike Evans is healthy, you can pencil him in for 900 to 1,000.
That's not good enough.
You don't think that'll be with McCaffrey? That won't be good enough?
You're asking a lot of older players to shoulder the load of guys who should be 25. I don't know. It's not a bad signing. I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that the Niners didn't get better by signing Mike Evans. But it's a safe and lateral move. It keeps you in the same place. It keeps you competitive. If Mike Evans has a bounce-back year off of his injuries, you're in a better spot than you were last year. You're closer to Seattle. You're closer to L.A. But I'm looking around at all the guys that are in Mike Evans' class, right?
Mm-hmm.
DeVante Adams. He's 33 years old. Obviously played well for the Rams last year. He wasn't their number one receiver. Also, I believe he had less than 800 yards, but he led the league in touchdowns. He was a red zone monster for them. But he wasn't their go-to guy every single game. And I think he missed 3 or 4. There's only one player that last season was the number one receiver at age 32 or older. And that was Stefon Diggs.
All right.
Patriots got off him. Now, that team obviously made the Super Bowl, but I think it was on the heels of a great defense, an up-and-coming quarterback, a solid running. That was a very balanced Patriots team that also probably overachieved. So there's only one guy that is right now what Mike Evans is, who is the number one receiver for his team. I'm just saying that if you're expecting him to be that, it is not signed, sealed, and delivered.
No, I'm willing to take the latter, though, too. I'm willing to take more touchdowns with less total yards because, obviously gives them another red zone option along with McCaffrey. So, yeah, I mean, if I'd rather see him score, 10 touchdowns with 900 yards than get 1,200 yards with 4. But I do think he's an upgrade rather than a parallel type move. He's got to be better than Jennings. And I'm assuming Jennings isn't going to be here. But again, it's still going to come down to Ricky Pearsall and how healthy he is, because if you have Mike Evans but Pearsall's ineffective, what do you really have then? Because Kittle's likely not going to start the year. And then who's opposite Mike Evans if Ricky Pearsall's not playing?
But the question with Evans, it's similar to what the Warriors are dealing with too. It's not that he isn't a good player. It's how many games he's going to play. It's honestly the same question with Ricky Pearsall. I think Ricky Pearsall is a good player. It's never been about what he can do on a football field as if he can get on it. And now you got two guys that I question how healthy they're going to be. Now, the one thing that Kyle Shanahan is great at is maximizing. Like he'll bring a wide receiver in and he'll get numbers out of him. Shoot, look at Kendrick Bourne last year. He signed him off the street, system fit, had a couple big games with Mac Jones that helped you get some wins that got you to the postseason. Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to scheme up some stuff for whoever's on this roster. But you need Mike Evans in those games against Seattle, against L.A. You know, they brought Mike Evans in to be healthy for the games that they couldn't win last year. And if he's healthy, then you're absolutely a better football team because he's better than Pearsall. He's obviously better than Juwan. He's probably the best wide receiver you've had since Aiyuk in 2023. But is he going to be able to stay on the field? That's a big question I have.
Well, and you know what's funny is, and everybody knows how I feel about older players. In general, I can't stand them. But to me, Evans' track record makes me feel a lot better about last year. I mean, he has been very durable over the course of his career. He only played 8 games last year. I'm willing to think that he's going to bounce back and be healthy. Now, in football, who knows? Last year may have been the start of a downward trend, and he never plays a complete season again. But I like the signing because I get the feeling that Kyle Shanahan is really going to know how to use him just because he's so good. He's such a pro. He can run all the routes, all that kind of stuff. I think he's kind of right up Kyle's alley, especially because of his demeanor. We had a guy named Rick Stroud on yesterday who covered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was just glowing about Mike Evans, the player, and Mike Evans, the person. So I also think, that's a hidden bonus in this signing in that, Aiyuk's now gone, but you bring Mike Evans in and you have an upgrade to my way of thinking, not only with your personnel because Aiyuk didn't play, but also in terms of your locker room leadership and that aspect of it, team chemistry and things like that. It doesn't sound like this guy's ever going to be a distraction. And hey, if you're a wide receiver and you're not a distraction, that's a good thing.
No, again, it's a safe, solid signing, but I'm not sure by the end of next season how much we're going to say Mike Evans moved the needle.
I got you.
You're still looking up at Seattle and L.A., and again, I think it's a lot to ask of a player to step in at his age and just carry an offense. Can he do it? Perhaps. His track record says that he's a guy he's upright. Like he doesn't miss games outside of last season. And I guess that's why I wonder if he is all this in a bag of chips, why is he not re-signing with Tampa? And why did he only get $16 million guaranteed? Because that, to me, says that's a flyer. If you're, of the $60 million, only 16 is guaranteed.
Right.
That means that, and who knows, maybe Mike Evans might want to get off a great season and then sign a bigger contract next offseason. Maybe he wants to be a Niner for longer. Maybe he wants to go somewhere else. I think he's in a position in his career where he saw what DeVante Adams did, and he wants to do the same thing, which is go play for a winner. But who's closer to the playoffs right now, San Francisco or Tampa Bay?
San Francisco.
You sure?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think San Francisco's a better team, but Tampa Bay obviously is in the most favorable division.
Yeah, so if you're going to the Niners, you're playing for a wild card.
Well, on the surface, it sure looks like that. I mean, things can change in football, but no, I don't necessarily disagree with you. But one of the reasons Evans is here apparently is because he thinks he's got a better shot at a Super Bowl here than in Tampa Bay. At least that's what his agent said.
Yeah, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't know. It is interesting to me that they would get off of a guy who could be a one jersey type player. Like, he is Tampa Bay's Larry Fitzgerald. The Cardinals wanted Larry Fitzgerald to retire a Cardinal.
Well, not every team's the Golden State Warriors or the 49ers. No, you know what? The more I think about it, the more you use the word safe. I think it is a safe signing, but I do think it has an upside. And look, I think the 49ers are trying to thread a needle here by either convincing themselves or the fans that, they're still knocking on the Super Bowl door. But I also think they're being very careful about making moves that are going to hamstring them for the next couple years. And it sure sounds like Mike Evans' contract isn't going to be one that's going to hurt you down the line. So maybe you do upgrade the wide receiver position and you either take a step forward or a step back, but either way, it doesn't necessarily hurt you. Trent Williams, to me, is another one. I mean, what you have to have Super Bowl aspirations to bring him back, I believe. So if they bring him back, that's why they're bringing him back, because they, look, they're talking about Trent Williams exactly like the Warriors talked about Draymond Green 4 or 5 years ago, and that is we can't win without him. We cannot win without him. And all I'll say is if the organization truly believes that, well, then they are going to re-sign him.
Well, why would Mike Evans sign with the Niners if they're not bringing back Trent Williams?
Well, that's a good question.
If he really is gunning for a Super Bowl.
I mean, that's a good question. I felt like the Mike Evans signing is probably good for Trent Williams. I would think so. But they still got to figure out what's going on with Trent Williams. See, the thing about are you telling me this thing's going to linger through training camp with Trent?
It might not. I mean, they got Fred and they got Kittle done and Purdy done pretty quickly last offseason. So I don't – but even if it does linger, that shouldn't bother you. In a way, Trent Williams is not really on my radar this summer because he didn't really go to training camp anyways. He did last year, but Trent Williams is going to be out there blocking his ass off no matter if he signs on September 2nd or April 2nd. And he's someone that you need. I mean, I know that they signed a lineman in free agency, but they ain't signed the left tackle of the future, and they certainly don't look like they're going to draft one.
Yeah, 888-957-9570 is the number. Let's go to Adam in the 625. What's up, Adam? How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
Going well, thanks.
I got to take. Hey, thank you. Big fan. Love your show.
Oh, thank you.
I got to take on Trent Williams first.
All right.
So one thing about Tom Brady, he was never the highest paid player at his position group, and he is a 7-time champion because he knew what it meant to sacrifice a little for the team. Now, he's done pretty well since then. Trent Williams has got almost $250 million in lifetime earnings, and you can't really compare any other industry. I heard on the last show they were comparing radio hosts. Would you guys leave money on the table? But there's no salary cap here at 95.7 The Game.
Well, there is.
You guys are in a different market.
No, go ahead. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's the budget, but it's just a different animal. So there's different things they can do to finesse it. They can do void years, they can do bonuses and prorate it. But at the end of the day, man, if you're coming back to win a championship, then don't try to knock their head off and be at the top of the market when you've already been at the top of the market twice.
No,
what's wrong with 2 years for $50 million, 30 guaranteed? You know what I mean? Like something like that.
Right.
Something they can, or even add a third void year, something. But Trent's a great player. We need him. It's John Lynch's slight fault for not planning better with the drafts and drafting his replacement. But you can kind of give him a little credit because we've been so close these last few years that you don't want to draft a developmental player. You want to get guys in there that are going to play and have an impact on the team right away because we've had a lot of holes. But maybe bring Greenlaw back to help with the defense. It sucks that we lost Talanoa Hufanga because he's played great for Denver last year, all pro. But as far as the Trent Williams things goes, man, I just think, when you've already set the market twice and you've already made your payday, you can kind of just swallow it. Do the Tom Brady, man. He never, ever was the highest paid player at his position group or in the NFL, and he won 7 championships. That speaks for itself.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the call. Guru not being here today does have one little silver lining.
Simmer.
Because damn well Guru today would have been like, Steiny, we got to bring back Dre Greenlaw. He's a killer. Get Greenlaw and Fred Warner back.
Give me some good news, damn it.
There you go. Go get Dre Greenlaw.
Well, good news is that I don't think the Greenlaw non-resigning it didn't hurt you. But look, I mean, they missed on one guy last offseason. Clearly it was Hufanga.
Right.
I mean, Fungo was an all-pro last year, and your safeties were not very good.
I mean, the one thing I'll say about Trent Williams, and this is the thing about football that's you got to factor in, is like the way the rules are set up in the NFL, you don't encourage players to be quote-unquote team players. Without guaranteed contracts, guys owe it to themselves to try to take care of themselves. And you've got to get as much as you can when you can. I think the difference with Trent Williams is, you know, he's played this game for a good chunk of his career and gotten a lot out of it, and now he's 38. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, how long are we going to keep doing this? 2 years for me, for Trent, sounds like 1 year too long, but if that's what they got to do, I guess that's what they got to do. It just feels like everybody assumes that the 49ers are going to pay him. And if that's the case, why not figure it out sooner rather than later, knowing what's happened the last few off seasons with guys not, you know, being around for training camp or holding in or holding out.
Well, you can't just make him play for a contract every year. That's not really how pro sports works anymore.
I mean, he's 38.
Yeah.
I mean, in the NBA,
you sound like Charlie Finley. Like,
yeah, but in the NBA, you can only sign a guy his age for one extra year at a time.
An extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Steph Curry's still going to have multiple years left. Like the veteran rule prevents you from signing a player for, I think, longer than 2 years. But that's why the older guys sign a 1+1 or a 2-year deal. You can't have a player playing as well as Trent Williams on a prove-it deal every single season. And at least I wouldn't expect him to take that. You know, he played damn well. He also, I mean, all right, for people who say that Trent Williams only plays when he's paid, I hear you. He played through, 3 or 4 games with a hamstring injury at the end of last season? And he was not 100% going into that NFC division game in Seattle. He played through injury in Philadelphia and helped you win. He played through, I think it was starting Sunday night against Chicago. Or pardon me, after the Chicago game when he got hurt on the first play. So he played through injury for you. And I think you got to reward him for that.
Yeah, I'm not saying you do or you don't. I'm more like, I'm not, you let Trent go. I don't really, to me, this is, I don't want to say what bad teams do, but this is what teams in transition get caught in. And what I'm talking about is I don't think there's a good decision either way. I think if they pay Trent Williams, it's probably a huge risk. And if they don't pay Trent Williams, obviously they got to deal with that. But I don't like either of the alternatives. And I feel like, you know, sometimes with older teams, you find yourself saying that a lot. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. Hey, tune in for Warriors Live today, presented by Xfinity, your home court advantage, brought to you by Xfinity. Watch all your favorite teams all in one place. Xfinity, imagine that.